angels willing to hold us in their arms. When our worth of stone, our ashes, and we both passed on. Let forever mean forever and carry on.
Good afternoon. Has it sure been an interesting weekend, keeping track of everything going on? My question that I have to ask, coming back here on a Monday, is the world on fire? And oddly enough, I've been asking myself that question all weekend long. And then come today, RT actually put out an article close to the same mindset. Their article is titled World in Flames. Found it very interesting. We're going to go over that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's going on. We're going to talk about whether or not it's going to be coming to the United States. So before I do, let me run through the normal stuff, except it's not going to be quite so normal this time. I'm going to change it up. I'm going to spend like 2 seconds, if possible, on the first parts of it, because I got something kind of neat and cool to show you. Something I think I mentioned that I was going to try to accomplish, which I was able to accomplish this morning. So real quick, most of you already know we're an Amazon affiliate. We are up to $12.75. I thank those that participate in that. For those that don't know, we've got a link in the description of the videos, as well as at thewatchmannews.com for our Amazon affiliate. We also have an Amazon store. That link is also in both places. And we have a Teespring store. So the best deal with the Teespring store is just go to thewatchmannews.com. Scroll down. That way you can see all of our options. And then if you click on an image, that will take you to that particular design on Teespring, where they have tons of different items you can buy with that design on it. So here's the new thing, and that's why I tried to rush through all that other stuff. We added our Amazon priority list this morning. Now, I've been telling everybody about how our donations, whether it be, when I'm talking donations, I mean even the Amazon affiliate money when it comes in, whether it's just donations from our PayPal donation link, which is also in the description of the videos and at thewatchmannews.com right there. So however it comes in, or whether it is we sell decals and our merchandise business brings a little money in, it almost every dollar that we get goes into prepping. And I have a priority list that has largely been in my head for a long time. Now, Amazon lets you keep a wish list, and like eBay lets you keep what they call a watch list. And so I've got just hordes of items in those. And so I thought, you know what? I keep telling you guys, what it is that we are working towards. And so what I decided to do is Amazon gives me the capability to put a wish list, a public wish list up on Amazon so that you guys can see what it is that we're working towards. And so that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. And that's what this link is here for, that says Amazon priority list at the top of thewatchmannews.com. And I'll just real quick show you what it is. It's the items that I have prioritized, the items that I'm going to be working on, and that way you can keep a track on it. The other option, if you want to help us out, you can actually purchase it. And the way it's set up is really cool because everybody can remain anonymous in it. And I like that because not only does, sometimes when people want to donate, they want to do so anonymously. Also, we don't want to necessarily just put our address, our physical address out there to the world. And so this is kind of the best of both worlds there. People can donate completely anonymously, and at the same time, I'll show you this because I think it's really cool how they got it set up. It doesn't give our address out. So, but as you can see, I just put some of the items up that we have in our wish list. I just put some of the items up. I will reiterate something that I've been saying for the past weeks. If there are I'll try that again. If there are electronic items that you want for your preps, you better jump on it. Why am I saying that? Because just this week from last, I am seeing a huge change in prices. You guys know I've been talking about this drone. This is the drone that is this is our highest priority right now. And that's the one I've been looking at. Well, just last week, they had a $50 off coupon on it. So normally $189.99, they had it to where you could actually get it for $139.99. They dropped that down to a $30 coupon. So now the cheapest I can get it for is $159.99. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to get this. So the way my luck is, it'll probably be up to full price. But anyway, if there are, and it's not just that one item. I could show you. This is what's crazy. I'll click on that because it'll probably bring the other one up in the bottom here. That 120D that I was talking about as well is another one. Here it is right here. Here it is right here. So this, that's the one with the 2 batteries. Hang on. Because the one I had been showing you guys only has the single battery in it. I don't want to compare apples and oranges here. I want you guys to see what's going on. Hang on. I know they'll have it. That's 2 batteries. Dang it. I was hoping I could just do this real quick. Okay, let me scroll up to the top real quick. It won't take me but a second here. Holy Stone 120D, because I want to show you guys what's going on. And this is happening at a very, very fast pace. Very fast pace. Come on, just give me the 120D. Here it is right here. Because this is the one that I've been showing you guys, right? So this just last week was like $127.99 with a $20 coupon. Well, not only did they remove the $20 coupon, now it's up to $149.99. So I don't know if this has to do with the tariffs or whatever the case may be, but I'm telling you, I'm seeing an increase in the prices across the board in electronics. So if there are electronic items you want, get on it. Get on it. Yeah, and that is why, actually, I wish I could play the Patreon video, but obviously I can't. The Bear Independent put out this morning. He had discussed in it the importance of drones in your security preps, and I think he did a bang-up job in it. But anyway, that's just to kind of give you an idea. These are just different things that we put, that we've had in our list. Not going to go over it all, but I will show you the cool thing in case you're interested in helping us out. So like, let's say you click add to cart on an item, okay? And we'll go to, we'll just proceed to checkout. I want to show you so that way you know how this address thing is set up. If you look right here at that top one, it says Michael Callahan's gift registry address. Right there. So if you check that, it will send it to the right place. It will send it to us. You don't have to send it out anywhere special or anything like that. You're good to go. I just wanted to show that because I could understand where that might be confusing. I wanted to pull another window out so I can get that out of the cart real quick. Yeah, what? Yeah, that's your cart. I had to sign in under Jen's name. That way it would show you the address thing correctly. Because if I sign in under my name, you don't see anything different. So anyway, that's what's up with that. And like I say, it's pretty cool and it's simple to set up. I want to make sure it didn't actually deduct it out of there. Yeah, it's super simple to do, and that's how you get to it right there, the Amazon priority list. So either way, if you want to help out or if you want to see what it is that we're up to, that's how you know. And so at the end of this month with the affiliate money we're getting, the Amazon affiliate money, it's $30-something, 33-something, I think. It's not a whole lot. So what I intend to do with that, as I had told you, is I plan on ordering one set of these socks. I've got like 2 in our list here. I plan on ordering one set of those socks and this pack of sandpaper. And then when I do that, well, you'll see this number drop from 1, and then we'll say has 1, but then you'll see this one here just drop right off the list. And so we will keep this updated with what we're up to, but this not only gives you a better idea of what we're doing, what we're up to, but it also helps me keep everything straight and puts the horse blinders on me, for, so to speak. So some of these items have been in our list forever, like the tarp, the rain covers for the backpacks, the ponchos, the compass. Those have been on the wool blanket. I couldn't tell you how long it's been in our wish list, but I keep just, there's other things, bright, shiny things that distract me. So that's what I mean by putting on the horse blinders. It will kind of keep me a little bit more focused on what the initial intent was. So anyway, I wanted to show you that. Sorry for spending so much time on it. It's something new. And, I just, like I said, I thought it was pretty cool that people could do that, and not only anonymously, but also that we didn't just have to give our address out to, everybody and their brother to see. But anyway, let's see. So I was going to talk about what's going on in the world. Let me have a sip of coffee. And RT put out an article about it this morning. Have a vape. Let me pull that article up for you. Okay, and the title of the article, World in Flames, Why Are Protests Raging Around the Globe? I'm going to read the article to you, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. Protests and demonstrations have rocked every corner of the world in recent days, with tax hikes, corruption, and supposed environmental injustice all raising public anger. But why have they spread? Watching the news over the last week, one would be convinced that the world has devolved into a series of flashpoints with corrupt governments across the political spectrum facing the wrath of their enraged citizens. Have I not been saying that that's going to happen? That is the very thing that I've said is going to happen. And yes, it is coming here. Let's see. To be fair, that's not far from the truth. 4 continents have seen anti-government demonstrations over the last week, many of them sparked by seemingly innocuous taxes or changes to the law. In Lebanon, protesters have set Beirut ablaze in response to a proposed fee of 20 cents per day on internet voice calls, dubbed the WhatsApp tax. Chileans set metro stations on fire following a $1.17 increase on public transport fares, and the streets of Ecuador are filled with rubble after a planned removal of fuel subsidies triggered mass unrest. Elsewhere, perennial corruption has the West African nation of Liberia in a state of near-constant protest. A change to presidential term limits in Guinea caused deadly riots. Mexicans are demonstrating against corruption and drug cartel violence, and masked rioters in Hong Kong are still rallying against their government months after the withdrawal of Chinese extradition bill that sparked their anger. Let's see. Europe, meanwhile, has seen a general strike and mass marches in Barcelona following the jailing of Catalonian independence leaders on Monday. Dutch farmers have also shut down the country's motorways after the government introduced new emissions regulations, and in France, already rocked by almost a year of yellow vest demonstrations, thousands of firefighters have marched for more funding and better working conditions. And we covered that last week. In fact, the police were using water cannons on the firefighters, and I thought that was just absolutely mind-blowing. That was ironic. It's in my opinion, insulting, like to the highest degree. Protests can break out over a relatively minor issue before spiraling into national crisis. French President Emmanuel Macron learned this the hard way last November when demonstrations over a fuel tax hike turned into a nationwide rejection of his corporate-friendly policies. Likewise, Lebanon's WhatsApp tax, sorry, I don't know why I keep saying WhatsApp tax was simply the final straw for protesters who have now called for the downfall of the regime, following years of perceived government ineptitude. And while Chilean students kicked off the fare hikes protest earlier this month, violent anti-government riots have since broken out, with at least 8 people killed in arson and looting attacks, and the military were called out to enforce a curfew. It's contagious. So why has unrest seemingly erupted all over the world at once? According to a University of Arizona study, protest is contagious. The study's authors found that violent domestic conflict spread between countries via spillover effects and the desire to emulate events abroad. Nonviolent movements, too, spread across borders in a similar fashion, with the researchers noting that observation of collective action abroad inspires would-be protesters at home. The Chinese government has pointed the finger squarely at Hong Kong for inspiring similar protests elsewhere. An editorial in the state-run Global Times on Sunday accused the Hong Kong demonstrators of exporting revolution to the world, while former Chinese diplomat Wang Zhen wrote in the Beijing News that the disastrous impact of the chaotic Hong Kong has begun to influence the Western world. Now, I want to say this. The Yellow Vest movement has been going on for a lot longer than what the Hong Kong movement has been going on. And if I wanted to point a finger at somebody to say, hey, you gave them the idea, it would have to be the Yellow Vest, because they'd been at it long before anybody else started in on theirs. Here's the thing. There are multiple reasons why you are seeing this pop up like wildfire all over the world. And largely it's because these governments are cracking down and not letting up. The governments just they have no concept of when enough is enough. And so you just keep seeing them push and push and push, right? Wasting money just like you wouldn't believe. I mean, just pouring money all over the place. And most of the time, the people of the country, the citizens, don't see anything from it. And I'm not saying they don't see some type of personal benefit. I'm saying, like here in the United States, most of the states are riddled with just pothole-filled roads, right? We have bridges that are collapsing, they're crumbling. Our infrastructure is just a total waste. But yet, you can bet they hike the taxes up every so many years. And that's their excuse. Well, we need to fix this failing infrastructure. But the money is never seen on the infrastructure. Amazingly, nobody knows where it goes. Nobody knows. But they'll be back X number of years and they'll hike those taxes again and say, oh, we got to deal with this. People are getting tired of it, and this is an epidemic that spans the globe. Governments have gotten way too comfortable. They have gotten to the point to where they actually feel like they could get away with murder, and in many times do. But the people have had enough. And I think it's a combination of things. I think it's the steady pressure from government that just never seems to let up. I think, again, the Yellow Vests have really inspired people of many nations to stand up. And yes, Hong Kong have inspired that many more. It's going to spread. And I do see it coming to the U.S. There is so much unrest in this country. And the problem is everybody's just wanting to point the finger at a political party. And in and of itself, that's not the problem. The problem is both political parties. It's government. As a whole, it's not one side over the other. They're both doing this. Both doing this. It is unbelievable. California just passed a law that says that freelance writers can't publish over 35 articles in a year. Now they're saying it's to protect union, right? It's to protect the union riders. It's to encourage these media outlets to hire union employees and put them on the staff. But that's not how this ever works. It's not how it ever works. You know, I remember back when the United States started putting in laws for health coverage, that employers had to provide health coverage for its employees. Were a lot of uninsured people all of a sudden insured? No. What they became real quick was underemployed, because these companies started using the loopholes they found of knocking their full-time employees down to part-time employees so that they didn't have to put them under those insurance packages. So who got hurt? Not only does the employees not have health coverage, but now they've got less money coming in to be able to purchase their own health insurance if they so choose. Anytime government does something like this, it always hurts we the people. And we are being pushed to a point right now that we don't have much further down to go. We truly don't. We're already at a point that well over half of the people in this nation are underemployed. Over half of the people in this nation cannot afford just the normal everyday things like food and rent and medical by themselves. They have to do it as a couple to get by, or families, or even getting back together, you know what I mean, like brothers or parents and children, and living under one roof so that they can afford to make it. But even that is becoming hard. Even that is becoming a trial. And that is when you're going to see people start to rise up. And I think it's coming. I think it is right around the corner. And the more this is happening in other nations, the more interest in this tactic that you're going to spark in the American people. My hat's off to the Chileans. I'm telling you what, they didn't play around. They absolutely did not play around. Let me grab an article for you here from RT from this past weekend. And I was just like, wow. Here we go. Chilean military declares curfew. President vows to reverse transport fare hike after mayhem in Santiago kills 3. Look at that. Look at that. This is from that hike for public transit that they put on. And my hat's off to them. I don't condemn this. Sorry, I can't condemn this. I cannot do it. We need to fix this country, and it's not going to get fixed at a ballot box. That's a game, and you're the pawn. You know, it frustrates a lot of people when I talk like that. But it's not my fault. I'm not in control. All I can do is lay out what's going on and take a look back into history and realize that not one time in history of mankind has a government ever just said, you know what, we're doing the wrong thing. We've got too much control. We've got too much power. We're going to back off and leave you alone so that you can make your own choices for your life, so that you can live a better life, so that you can be more prosperous, not only for yourself, but your family, but also for the nation. Not one time will you find in history where a government did that. And the only thing that made a change was this. Not my fault. Although the messenger often takes the slack for it. My hat's off. Talking about brave people here. Very brave people. Just as the people in Hong Kong, the yellow vest in London, the people in Lebanon, very brave people. They have my complete respect. Takes a lot of courage because you know what could happen. You know what could happen, and I fear for those protesters in Hong Kong. I fear for them because I think it's just a matter of time. They're the ones that I'm most concerned with. Truly is. Let me see if there's more on that article here. Let's see. Though the Chinese government has its own political reasons to publish articles condemning the Hong Kong movement, the accusation that the protesters there are exporting revolution is spot on, at least if the University of Arizona study is to be believed. Again, it didn't start there, but they are, inspiring. That's the word. They are inspiring a lot of others. Okay? It didn't start there, though. Let's see. A minefield. Dealing with the mass unrest is a minefield for governments, though the respective governments of Lebanon, Chile, Ecuador, and Hong Kong have all canceled the measures that angered the public in the first place. Protests have only intensified. This presents decision makers with a dilemma: signal weakness by doing nothing or inflame tensions further with the police crackdown. Former Madison, Wisconsin Police Chief David Cooper literally wrote the book on handling protests. In Arrested Development, Cooper wrote that he would instruct his officers to get in close, talk, stay in contact with demonstrators, as he found that the further the police positioned themselves from the people in the crowd, the greater the chance for the crowd would depersonalize them. And that's absolutely correct. Similarly, former Washington, D.C. Police Chief Jerry Wilson told author Radley Balco that he would not hide his riot control teams away on buses until needed, as the mere presence of heavily armed cops didn't prevent confrontation, it invited it. Exactly. Let's see. This cautious approach has not been taken by Chile, or Chile, I don't know which way is actually proper there, whose president, Sebastian Pinera, declared, "We are at war against a powerful enemy who is willing to use violence without any limits," and summoned up thousands of troops to patrol the streets, nor has it been taken by Ecuador's Lenin Moreno, who announced the militarization of the capital, Quito, and authorized the use of public force to clear streets of protesters. While the state cannot allow destruction and looting, a heavy-handed crackdown can backfire, as happened in France when images of wounded and maimed protesters gave the Yellow Vests a new issue to rally around and mired the government and police forces in legal action. Moreover, giving in to the protesters' demands is one thing, but it's another when rival groups of demonstrators demand clashing measures while Dutch farmers are fuming at being labeled a climate change threat and punished with new nitrogen emissions regulations. Extinction Rebellion eco-activists took to the streets of more than 70 cities worldwide, including Amsterdam, to demand more of precisely the same kind of regulations, up to a complete abolition of livestock farming. You hear that? Contagious, difficult to control, and often contradictory, the season of unrest gripping much of the world presents governments, even those that acquiesce to their citizens' demands, with few easy solutions. I thought that was an incredibly well-written article. But that gives you a good idea of what's going on. I mean, I'm going to be totally honest with you. Yeah, I couldn't sit here and tell you all of the all of the different countries and cities and stuff like that that have been protesting. I can't I can't mentally keep track of all those different countries. And so I highly appreciate RT putting it all in an article, explaining it, and I think really doing a fair job on explaining the psychology behind it and whatnot. See, the worst thing that they can do, like the one guy had said, the worst thing they can do at a protest is roll out the riot cops. Because I guarantee you've just escalated the situation. I guarantee it. I've watched way too many protests to know. And the moment you roll out the riot cops, attitudes change. The whole mindset, everything changes. You know? Chances are very high, if the protesters were shown at least a fair level of respect, right? And you didn't roll out all these cops with the shields and the sticks and the, all the less than lethal weapons. Chances are high the protest would end peacefully and people would go home. But it's when they start ramping things up like that it's almost like a challenge. And I'm just, this is stupid. This is stupid. Because all it takes is a public that's mad enough. And they're going to run right over that riot control operation. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. When you've got, let's say, 500 police and you've got, 30,000 protesters, and believe me, those numbers aren't far-fetched. You're asking for problems. And in a society like ours, like it is right at this particular moment, those riot police do a pretty good job of keeping those people in enough fear that they don't really strike out. Not for the most part. But you wait and see what happens when that fear is replaced by anger. You wait and see what happens. Think you're going to have your chance soon enough in this country. Because they keep that pressure on and they're just adding more and more and more. And I don't see them letting up. Not whatsoever. And I haven't even mentioned about the political climate as far as Democrats and Republicans. I wasn't even talking about that. I'm talking about completely bipartisan things. But then you add on that level of hate and discontent between the two parties. I'm telling you, it's close. It's close. Please take steps toward preparedness. Please. You never know when something's going to... How many people in Dallas would have guessed that a tornado was going to rip through there around 9 p.m. last night? Probably not many. But it happened. It sure enough happened. So be prepared. It's not always about the zombie apocalypse or the Russian paratroopers or whatever. Sometimes it's just little local things, We had a major power outage here this morning. I think it was off maybe about 2 seconds. But, our power blinked off. But it could have been out for days. Who knows? You never know these kind of things. So being prepared at least gives you a leg up on it. Anyway, let me have a sip of coffee here. I've got a horde of news headlines to go over because it is Monday, and I do cover Saturday and Sunday. So let me have a sip of coffee and a vape, and we'll get to it. Man, I love my coffee. And I love my, what are they, pink squares? It's by Candy King on Salt, and they call it pink, I think it's pink squares. And it's essentially like the pink Starburst candy. Yum, yum. Good stuff. All right. So let's do this. Starting Saturday morning, Texas prosecutors seek murder indictment against officer who shot former Fort Worth. Hang on. Sorry about that. Texas prosecutors seek murder indictment against officer who shot woman at home. We talked about this last week. They are actually going after him for murder. They're serious about it. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. That was uncalled for. This was a lady that was playing video games with her nephew that she was the caretaker for. And a neighbor called for a wellness check because her lights were on, her front door was open. And so the neighbor called the non-emergency number, and the police responded. And when they got there, they parked like a block away. When they got there, they even trespassed into the backyard, right? Opened up the gate, went to the backyard, started shining lights through the house and all of that. Well, the lady seen these flashlights being shown in her window, so, she went to go find out what was going on. Now, I couldn't tell you whether or not she grabbed her gun or not. I don't believe so. It seems like I've heard it said that the gun was on the nightstand or something. I don't know if she grabbed it or not. And, I wouldn't trust anything I'm being told. And other than from the child, I would listen to the boy before I would listen to anybody else in the situation. But anyway, the officer didn't even announce who he was or anything like that. He just repeated the command of her putting her hands up, and literally it was within like 3 seconds, and all of a sudden he just fired, killed her. So, this is ridiculous. And it was all out of a concerned neighbor, That is so sad. Erdogan says Turkey will crush the heads of Kurds in northern Syria. And I believe if they don't leave is what that said. Let's see. Trump campaign threatens to sue CNN for unfair, unfounded, unethical, and unlawful attacks on the president. Queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption, Tulsi Gabbard drags Hillary Clinton after Russian asset claim. Savage, Tulsi Gabbard gets meme artillery support after daring warmonger Queen Hillary Clinton to run in 2020. Weird rituals and fantasy language. Dutch father who held 6 children underground for 9 years was creating own cult. So, yeah, apparently it came out that's what this guy's intention was. We talked about this last week. Apparently his intention was creating a cult. That is nuts. Let's see. We do not want war. Mexican authorities defend letting El Chapo's son go after drug cartel unleashed hell on Culiacan. And I'm sure I'm really not saying that right. Let's see. I always do what I promise. Modi warns Pakistan he's serious about using 100% of the Indian River waters. Let's see. Santiago in flames. Chile declares state of emergency as violent protests rock capital. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let's see. Leave this soil. Seoul police ramp up security after protesters break into U.S. ambassador's residence. And, okay. And 10, thank you. Jen just said that you made a donation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's see. Keep your sanctions, but let us do business. Chevron hopes Trump allows it to stay in Venezuela. I read that headline on Saturday and my mouth was just open. I'm like, really? And you know what? I bet that they allow it. I bet they allow it because that's just the way it works with big business. I'm pretty sure Chevron has a lot of ties. I'm pretty sure I've heard that before. 15 killed as Siberian gold mine dam collapse floods. Wow. I'm reading that wrong somehow. 15 killed as Siberian gold mine dam collapse floods dorms with muddy water. I think that was a little better. I never claimed to be a professional. Let's see. Cutting rates is beyond... see what I mean? That would be why. Cutting rates is bringing us closer to the greatest amount of debt in human history, says Ortiz Boom Bust. And I would have to agree with that 100%. But what are you going to do? It's like the people are between a rock and a hard place. They can't afford a rate increase, but at the same time, without the rate increase, we're not going to get out of this global debt, which I'll never understand because I'm still trying to figure out what planet we owe money. How that works is beyond me. But, you know, it's a catch-22, and there really seems to be no way out unless these banks decide to be decent human beings, and I don't see that happening. I do not see that happening. What I do see happening is a global default on debt and a one world currency. That is what I see happening. Let's see. Thousands march in London calling for halt to Brexit and new referendum on UK's future in the EU. Russia mulls using yuan and euro instead of US dollar for external loans in 2020. So frightening, UK politicians protected by squads of cops as Brexit vote delay infuriates crowds. Ancient, I had a big dog that walked past the window. It distracted me. Let's see. Ancient Babylonian omens reveal timing of an extraordinary solar storm that's mentioned in the Bible. Thought that was interesting. We're still on Saturday, by the way. Makers of controversial Trump shooting video respond to criticism with more memes. Chile military declares curfew. President vows to reverse transport fare hike after mayhem in Santiago. I showed you that article a while ago. Let's see. People hold anti-government protest in Beirut, Lebanon. Iranian... Oh, wait. Are we... Oh, yeah. Now we're to Sunday. We're to yesterday. Sorry about that. Iranian threat gives Israel fundamental right, even obligation, to bomb whomever it wants, says Pompeo. Now I'm going to read that headline again because it's insane. It is insane. Iranian threat gives Israel the fundamental right, even obligation, to bomb whomever it wants. And that's not being said by someone in the Israeli government. That's being said by Pompeo. Pompeo, our own U.S. State Secretary. That is insane. That is insane. Let's see. First F-35 landing on Royal Navy's new aircraft carrier goes awry after pilot trips and falls on his face. There's a little video of it. It's kind of funny. Let's see. Shotgun carrying student disarmed and hugged by high school football coach. You mean he wasn't shot dead? No. No. A high school football coach got him to turn over his weapon and gave him a hug. And I'm sure that other things followed. But it didn't wind up with the young man being carried out in a body bag, or anybody else for that matter. Let's see. Coming back to another war zone, U.S. troops leaving Syria will find home in western Iraq. See, and I've been mentioning this and talking about this. You know, there's this idea that somehow the troops are coming home. They're pulling out of Syria, so the troops are coming home. No, they're not. The troops are going to Iraq and Saudi Arabia. They're not coming home. In fact, they're not even getting out of the Middle East. It's crazy, though. You watch mainstream media, And they got everybody convinced that, oh, yeah, roll the ticker tape parade. They're coming home. No, they're not. No, they're not. Syria's Raqqa province begins reviving destroyed oil and gas fields. Gonna need some more freedom over there soon, I'm sure. Plan B. UK government launches Yellowhammer op as ministers prepare for potential no-deal Brexit. Did NASA even exist then? Clinton, lampooned for claiming space agency, ended her childhood dreams of becoming astronaut. When I read that headline, it reminded me of that Greta Thunberg or whatever her name is, talking about how, we have ruined her dreams, and that's all I could think of when I read that headline. Let's see. Golden Shield, Russian bullion reserves will protect country against slump in oil prices. I told you, there is a lot of headlines. We've still got plenty more hidden in here. Protesters hurl petrol bombs at police station as Hong Kong descends into chaos. Destroying women's sports, fury after transgender cyclist Rachel McKinnon defends world title. Hey, I'm just the guy reading the news. Remember that. Menstrual cycles are for everyone, ? Always removes female symbol from sanitary pads following trans activist complaints. Yeah, I won't even comment. I'm just reading the headlines. Whoops, sorry, Hong Kong protesters leave apologetic graffiti after vandalizing the wrong bank. So hey, at least when they riot and they loot, they're polite, right? That means something, doesn't it? Let's see. India set to eclipse U.S. with global economic growth share by 2024. I thought this headline was kind of mind-blowing. U.S. Army to test mystery materials owned by Blink-182 frontman's UFO group at government facilities, says a report. Thought that was quite wild. Let's see. From last night, 4 killed as Bangladesh police fire at protesters outraged by defamatory Facebook post on Prophet Muhammad. 3 U.S. soldiers killed, 3 injured in Georgia training accident. Leave nothing behind. U.S. forces destroy own airfield and equipment as they flee northern Syria. Hillary Clinton's attacks on Tulsi Gabbard sow more Democratic division than Moscow could ever dream of. Let's see. Oh, this is an article about how banning legitimate vaping is absolute madness. It was actually in Business Insider, and really good article, to tell you the truth. Okay, we've made it to this morning. We are at war. Chile extends curfew. Thousands of soldiers patrol streets as death toll and violent riots mounts. 3-year-old child miraculously survives fall from balcony as it lands on passing rickshaw. Tornado causes havoc and damages houses as it rips through Dallas, Texas. Australian media. This is crazy too. Australian media stages front page blackout to protest against government clampdown on press freedom. See, you've got everybody that just, what is going on around the world is insane. Insane. And they're trying to clamp down on anybody that's trying to speak out against it or even try to inform others as to what's going on. Let's see. Turkish op in Syria may lead to reverse migration of terrorists to their own homelands, the Russian defense minister warns. Mysterious newly discovered virus defies evolution, current scientific understanding. Some scientists in Japan are working on that. They literally found it in pig feces because that's something we all look through every day. Just going next door, more than 100 armored vehicles cross into Iraq as U.S. troops withdraw from northern Syria. China doubles down on infrastructure projects as trade war with U.S. drags on. The big one, fear of catastrophic quake grows in California as dormant fault line moves for first time in 500 years. Watch migrants burn cars in protest against detention in a Maltese holding center. So here's yet another area where protests are going on now. I think there were two different places that I had mentioned since I talked about the protesting. I think there was two more places that protests have broke out. Rich Chinese outnumber wealthy Americans for the first time, says Credit Suisse. Or is it Swiss? Might be Credit Suisse. I don't know. I don't speak that language. Hell, I don't speak this language. Foreign instigated color revolutions fuel global unrest, Beijing says in veiled attack on U.S. I can't think properly. Join the club. Assange disoriented as court rejects delay for extradition proceedings. America is running away. Irate Kurds pelt withdrawing U.S. forces with vegetables. UK House Speaker Bercow blocks meaningful vote on Bojo's Brexit deal. Companies reach $260 million deal to settle opioids lawsuit. China seeks $2.4 billion in sanctions against U.S. for ignoring World Trade Organization's decision on tariffs. Lebanon cabinet has agreed on all other reforms on the list, says the presidency. U.S. Commerce Secretary says we're in a better place on trade deal with China as talks have resumed. Saudi Arabia's 100% hookah tax hike ignites social media fury. So here we go in Saudi Arabia, right? We'll see. We'll see what happens. This is for 100% hookah tax, right? Don't tax my hookah, bro. Let's see. That's the article I read already. Netanyahu says he failed to form government. His rival Gantz given 28 days to do the job. Heresy in the Vatican. Catholics steal the Pope's pagan fertility statues and dumps them in the river. I guess maybe it's better than living in a van down by the river, but hey. Let's see. Ditch the Kurds, grab the oil. Trump says U.S. never committed to Syrian allies, but Secretary of Defense says Washington still committed to the oil. How do you like that? Ridiculous. Let's see. Hang on. Let me open this up so I can see the whole headline here. Error in judgment. MoDOT, which is Missouri Department of Transportation, apologizes for editing photo of boy wearing Trump 2020 shirt and hat. Apparently, he was there because they were demolishing this bridge and he won a contest. He got to push the button, right? So he was the big winner that gets to push the big red button and watch everything go boom. So I guess he wore his Trump 2020 shirt and hat. Well, when they posted the picture, they edited it so that you couldn't see what it said. And so obviously people raised hell about that. And so they had really, came out with an apology and I guess, I'm assuming, released the image unedited. So it's crazy, right? It's crazy. And Missouri's supposed to be a red state. Imagine that. Imagine that. Turkey names banker U.S. convicted of Iran sanctions, dodging as... I'm reading that way wrong. Let me try this again. Turkey names banker U.S. convicted of Iran sanctions dodging as head of stock exchange. Let's see. Pompeo says military action against Turkey is not off the table for Trump. That is a major, major headline right there. major headline. Let's see. I do have a number 3 up there. Not putting up with your Republican BS. Angry liberals accost Rand Paul. An opioid crisis aberration or logical outgrowth of for-profit U.S. healthcare system. Now, I'm reading that way wrong too, but let's see. And London is reviewing diplomatic immunity rules after wife of U.S. diplomat killed a 19-year-old in a car crash and fled the U.K., which you've heard Bo of the Fifth Column talk about that. So, okay, we managed to get through the headlines. Wow, that was, I knew I had a lot of headlines, so I was trying to rush through everything to get everything in. I did it in an hour. Yay me. All right. That does it for the monologue. For those here for the live show, stick around. Don't go anywhere. Don't do anything. We'll be live until 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. For those just here for the monologue, or if you're watching the recording thereof, which I will make sure to get out this time, thank you very much. As always, God bless you. We love you, and be one with your spirit.